Now then, Rob, I know this has interested you and intrigued you this week, and it's sort of I'd almost forgotten this game was taking place, but it's a England 15 versus a France 15, which I think is a distinction between like a kind of A team.
Well, I'm looking at the squad list here as from the France social media, and it says Le Groupe France A.
Oh,
So,
really?
but yeah, I mean, I think it's basically the same. I think were you about to say it means they're not going to be capped players?
I believe so.
Captured, captured.
Captured,
Yeah,
correct.
which
Um,
is quite a key thing because, and we should have done our research on this to find out whether it is captured players. I assume basically if you're in this, you're probably going to end up playing for France. But there are three names that stick out, being, if I can find them, Tyler Duguay, Jaco van Tonder, and Aliveretti Dangivalu, who ostensibly are not French. To kind of Tyler Duguay, Canadian, Jaco van Tonder, as you might guess, South African, and Aliveretti Dangivalu, as you might guess, Fijian. And these guys in their mid 20s, these are not
hmm.
youngsters. They'll be Jiff. They will have cut like Downgivalu's been at Perpignan since he was like 18. Like, he's been there. He's been there for a long, long time. Similarly, Tyler Degree has been in France for a long time, and so France have clearly used this to try and capture people, I think.
Yeah.
And like this game like really excited us back in whenever it got announced, like ages ago, because that's when we called out Noah Nene as being a future star, and we were ahead of everyone. Just a little reminder for everyone there, to blow our own trumpet. But we kind of like spitball a few names, like who from Pro Day are we gonna see, and which exciting young French stars are we gonna see? And this just feels a bit oh, it's like
Yeah.
I feel like the balloons popped with this announcement.
It's
I've not seen the England announcement, and that could be quite cool, or it could equally be like the same, like, yeah, we're gonna pick people that you would never have thought of, and a
no,
few
the
blokes have been
England
knocking on the door for it. It's literally like Willis and Cunningham South
yeah, the England
and
one
like
is very
Don
much
Brand. It's like, oh,
like
cool.
not the guys who have there's no anyone of any sort of interest that was in the training squad beforehand, or like a little slightly lesser name, like Ilioni, who's obviously been amazing the last few
Yeah,
months. Slightly less amazing, but player I really like, Richard Capstick for Exeter. He's like they're gone, so it's just your
yeah.
sort of your next ins. But
Well, I suppose, I
yeah,
mean, Andy Farrell's ruined it by picking Pollock as well in the Lions, but we called that one as well, so we can't complain too much.
I think the you're right. The interesting thing here is that the real young guys are all, with the exception of like a Mustan or Jeannot, who's been capped once, which I didn't
Yeah,
realize.
yeah, last
Um,
summer.
all the kind of real young guys, the 21, 22-year-olds are blokes we've seen before. So it's the Poe contingent, Oradu, Atasog Bay, Gaiaton, and then Leo
Barre.
Barre, and then a few folks who I don't know, some guys I wasn't necessarily expecting to see in the squad, like a Baptiste Docio and um,
Dalbanya.
Dobanya, yeah, which again is a maybe now's the time to ask the question. It's not it's not the sort of squad I was expecting, and trying to it almost feels to me like there's maybe a few guys here that it's genuinely a case of just having a look, which you don't really often have the luxury of doing when you're an international coach. Um, but I don't know, that's kind of my read on it, which is maybe a little bit unfair on some of the guys who have been picked, because there's some real quality players in there. But you're right, it's not like these I think there's 13 new caps, and they're not all 20 years old.
No, a lot
Um,
of them are actually 24, 25, 26, 27. Like Theo Mille has had a really good season, like inside centre for Leon, but he's 27. Theo William is a guy that we've called out quite a bit. He's 24. Dabanya is he's over 30, I
31.
think. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember we said he celebrated his 30th birthday by running the
That
Olympic
was
flame through Poe.
yeah.
So yeah, it is weird, isn't it? And like Rabah Slimani's in there.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that
It's
says more about the kind of injuries that they've got or lack of availability they've got at tight head. Like Antonio, I think we knew wasn't going to tour.
yeah.
Tatafu was injured. He was the kind of the equivalent of this last year, I guess.
Alon was
Um,
falling out of favour, hasn't it?
Colomb has just disappeared. The fact that Malaise is there, like a Toulouse youngster who's been playing in Pro D2, he's the only Pro D2 player in there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I
Before I'm
think
just
you're
going to
right.
scan down the list before I make my
No,
balls
that's
up. But
correct.
yeah, and he's not. He's been on loan at Provence. He's not even a kind of come through the academy at Provence or anything like that. Yeah, I think you're right. That's quite a good way to. That's probably why. Like, can we have a look? Are these guys up to it? Especially in the case of the new national players. But there's
Yeah.
quite a lot of players that I think you could level that at anyway that aren't there.
Mm.
Someone there's no there's bet like Remy Baget was in squads earlier on this year. Like never really had a look unless they had a look at him then and decided not for me. Like Van Verberg. Like there's barely any cast players in there,
Yeah, it's just
which I
Barlow,
find
isn't it?
mad. Yeah.
You'd think they would, or
Like
yeah,
Shabuni or someone like that. Like, let's have a look at him
yeah,
or Delaporte. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it all feels a bit. And
It's a
obviously,
strange one.
our condolences, obviously, to Arthur Vincent, who seems to have
Yeah,
fallen.
what's going on there? He'll be
we,
back for New Zealand, don't you worry.
for anyone who doesn't know what we're on about, we've said for years that, or we said for a long time that Arthur Vincent is the bloke that invariably turns up in these squads. I reckon Leo Burdo might be the new Arthur Vincent.
Could well be, could well
Could
be.
be. Although he might be starting 10 in this. It can be because it's going to be a twin between him and Hastoy.
Yeah. What I will say though is that so I think it's what a 20, is it 29, 28 man squad?
Yeah.
28. You're still getting a pretty decent 23 out of it, whichever
Yeah.
way you look at it. Regardless that there's a few guys there we don't know a huge amount about, but really exciting to see like Regis Montaigne in there. Enjoyed watching him play for some time. A couple of guys who really came through. We've spoken about what a fantastic kind of breakthrough season Mikel Guillard's had. Um, yeah,
And
it's
Tia William.
Teo Williams been excellent, isn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Um,
I think
Leon.
it's kind of strange to see so many Leon players. I think it's maybe they've just got a strong French contingent, same as Poe. Like they've just got proportionally more French players than a Racing because it's literally only I guess Demba Bamba's at Racing now, isn't he? But Woki, Bamba, Legaric,
Mm,
it kind of feels like where's like a Diallo or a don't know, like a who's the bloke you like? Bodon. Where's he?
yeah.
Yeah, it feels kind of a few clubs centric, like very
Mm,
few La Rochelle
yeah.
players as well, which I know a lot of them have had a lot of game time, but no Jegu, for example. I think Jegu might be injured to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, surprisingly a lot of Claremont players, but yet surprisingly light on Cast and La Rochelle players, the two clubs that finished kind of two below
Yeah.
Claremont. So strange.
Yeah. We'll see though. I think yeah, I'm really yeah, a bit of a shame it's not like a Friday evening affair and could have snuck along, but should be pretty interesting outing. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
3:15 on Saturday for UK
and
people, and it's
I'd
on Rugby
imagine
Pass.
yes, I
On
saw
Rugby
that.
Pass TV.
I'd also imagine there are tickets going if
Yeah.
anyone wasn't aware of it and wanted to get along. Could be a really, really good afternoon out. Um, One thing I've also learned from
You
this,
can join and you can when he scores 5 tries, you can join the Attisog Bays.
you can start spreading your mold and salt all over the place.
Yeah. Pretending
Um,
you're Attisog Bay.
my only last thing on this was I've learned something about one of these players. Not that I know much about them, but Mail Moustin, I did not realize was from Martinique,
Ah,
which is
yes,
cool.
I think I knew he was from like a colony.
His home club, RC Diamant Martinique. And he's been awesome certainly the back end of the season. So I imagine he'll be probably set to start on one wing with Atasogbe on the other, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see them go like Barre at 12 and put Attisog Bay or Barre at 10 and go Attisog Bay at fullback, but I think they will play Barre at 15. Um,
Cool.
Yeah. I think on the website they show you their first club, don't they? They
Yeah,
or so on
yeah,
certain
yeah.
announcements, yeah. Always quite fun, I find, for the real rugby, French rugby nerds
Well,
Or French geography nerds.
and when Bayonne did their kind of Instagram team announcement the other day, there was the Ipswich Rugby Club crest,
Oh,
which is
really?
which is quite cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Someone's had to do a little bit of scurrying around to find it, but
I'd love it
yeah,
if they'd like accidentally put like Ipswich Town FC on there.
yeah. Tractor Boys. That would have been a nice touch. Um, yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Could be an interesting affair down at Twickenham. There's more squad news though. The under 20s for the World Cup's been announced, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and I mean the big one again, apologies for if you listen or follow any of our stuff on social media, you will know that at least one of us is a big fan of Fabian Galthié, the inside centre from Poe. I think given that like in the past, certain players have skipped the under 20s, like Basolo Tuolangi didn't go to the under 20s World Cup last year. I don't know why he's not in the France 15 squad, but never mind. But I thought Browbury was going to be touring New Zealand, to be honest. I think he's that good. And I thought, given the kind of a few injuries, maybe, I guess, and the lack of availability of Toulouse
Mhm.
and Bordeaux players, I wondered if Liam McCrabb, the try-scoring all-action hooker from Montpellier, might get a go as well. But he's staying in the under 20s. The other one that I thought might have gone has now escaped me. Robin Takola, the
Mm.
13, who's played a lot for Van, not only this season until 14, but in Pro D2 last year as well. Um, Given the first choice centres for France, pretty much, other than Gael Fickou, pretty much all play for Toulouse or Bordeaux. Um, I wonder if we'll see some movement in that. Yeah, a lot of those guys played in the Six Nations, which France obviously won. So, and that's generally on Rugby Pass as well, isn't it? The
I
Under
think
20s World
the
Cup.
yeah, I think I
This
think
is
it
World
has been
Rugby
the last few
competition, yeah.
years. Potentially I think some of the last one was some of it was on the England games or on BBC Sport as well. I think they
Yeah,
had
yeah, yeah.
online, which was cool. Yeah, it's a really exciting squad. It's interesting, isn't it, as well? Before this, the under 26 nations, perhaps the year before or the couple of seasons before, we looked at and we're like, wow, that is a lot of kind of top 14, guys who are getting a gig already. And it looked a little bit more callow this year. And then suddenly they turned in some phenomenal performances and have been getting that game time. And you're like, wow, there's some proper talent, particularly, I must say, particularly in the backs as well. Guys who are getting like sort of Etche Garay, and really
Jean
like the look of
Musquez.
Jan Musquez, Diego Jourde. We
Yeah.
enjoyed, didn't we, last time out? So
No
yeah,
Ugo Pacom, who I've jury's still out for me, but a lot of people absolutely love and think he's the next big thing. I
well, he's
think
going
he's
to La
injured.
Rochelle, right,
He's going to La
from
Rochelle,
Colombia.
and I think he got injured in that game against
Okay.
Montauban for Colomiers. First of all, Lorenzo Boya Gallardo, loose head from USAP, big things expected from him, but I'm slightly worried about what they're going to do about the interviews because Oliver
Oh,
Cowie, Oliver Cowie is not available.
oh
I think he
no,
might be injured. So yeah,
that was
maybe
funny.
surely Sameli down with Uku with his Fijian
The
heritage speaks a bit of English,
He
but
was so funny, and they like the interpretation, the most English guy you've ever heard as well.
yeah,
Or at least, sorry, the most English accent. He's been in France for quite some time, but
yeah.
it was very, very good.